just to update you on the situation, I already spoken to Kate about what has happened within last week. So we were offered multiple offers, money to cancel this program. So it went up to, the bid went up to £15,000. So they were offered that much money to cancel this program.
My handle is Kate Shemarani, natural nurse in a toxic world, and I love it when people go, she's not natural. You know, I don't really care. It's about natural solutions, and because I want to wear lipstick and keep my hair nice and dress nice, isn't that what we're meant to do as women? Aren't we told to look nice for our men? I mean, when I hear women moaning about their husbands looking elsewhere, they've got to pardon? Only as teenagers. That's why you're supposed to have chaperones. I'm going to start at the top because we all say, I always hear, I love it when people go, well, I eat really healthy. They always say that. I go, tell me what you eat then. And then I go, no, you don't. And, but we started off healthy. So I want to go down quickly to tell you how we got to the pickle that we're in, because we should not have any of those degenerative diseases. Cancer was 1 in 100 at the turn of the century. Now it's 1 in 2, but we've got all this modern medicine saying how fantastic it is. I mean, look at that. That in itself should tell you cancer was less than 1 in 100. 1 in 10 by, I think, 1960, 1980, 1 in 4. Or 1 in 3, but it's now 1 in 2. If modern medicine was that fantastic, why has it got to that stage?
What about all the cancer research? What are they doing?
Cancer Research UK, I used to download all of their charities' accounts. And I was asked by the Women's Institute to go and speak at a few. And then they found my video on Cancer Research UK and I was barred. So they just collect your money, and Cancer Research UK buy properties with it and they rent them out. Big ones. And breast cancer now are not putting any money into what causes cancer. Nothing. They don't want to. If you think 1 in 7 women will get breast cancer, I know men get it as well, and 1 in 3 will get prostate cancer. And no one tells any man when he's got prostate cancer, you need zinc. They just tell you, no, you need to come and take this drug, which is going to make your arms spindly and you're going to grow man boobs and your hair will fall out, but don't worry about it. So let's go from the head down. So let's start at the brain. And our brain is the most fantastic organ. It's incredible. It's the consistency of soft butter. Soft butter, enclosed in a hard bony shell. And yet we let our children go out and play rugby and football. Isn't that mental? It's the only organ in the body that when something goes wrong in it, nobody scans you, do they? Nobody does an X. They don't do any of that. What they do is they sit a psychiatrist in the corner and you tell him how you're feeling and he comes up with a diagnosis. It's quite incredible. But if you go and look at the brain, you'll see anomalies on it. So dementia, Alzheimer's, the symptoms of it, you don't know you've got it. And it started 30 to 50 years prior. 30 to 50 years. If you go to bed every night for 10 days and only sleep 6 hours, you lose 50% of your cognitive function. 50%. So it's really important that you look after your brain. Now we've got something really clever that protects our brain. It's called the blood-brain barrier. So we have all our blood in our entire body goes through our liver every 3 minutes. Every 3 minutes. Hello, yes?
It goes to your mind. It goes to your mind.
I think we'll have questions afterwards.
Yeah, otherwise we'll be here.
Yeah.
It goes to your mind. That's, what do we say? The
lymphatic system.
Yeah.
And the cerebral spinal fluid.
That what we have to need. 6 hours when
we'll have questions after. Otherwise we're going to be here.
I'm going to probably answer what you're going to say, sir. I'll answer what you're going to say. So when we sleep, we have our lymphatic system in our body cleans our body.
This is,
In the brain, we have the glymphatic system. We have the glymphatic system, and the glymphatic system cleans the brain. So we have to be asleep, in deep sleep, for that glymphatic system to clean the brain. The blood-brain barrier stops toxins from reaching the brain. When our blood sugar is low, where's our friend gone? When our blood sugar is low, that blood-brain barrier can open. When we've got a high temperature, that blood-brain barrier can open. But something else is very clever at opening our blood-brain barrier, and it's 2.45 to 5.8 gigahertz. That's your Wi-Fi. Isn't that incredible that that exact frequency opens your blood-brain barrier? Now, when you then mix glyphosate, which is in the water table, that people are buying and spraying on the foods, and actually a lot of the beans, pulses, lentils that come out of India are absolutely soaked, because that's where a lot of them are imported from, soaked in glyphosate. When you then mix that with aluminium, which is in the vaccines, and they're spraying it on us, that makes 6 new compounds in the gut. So then when you bring in the Wi-Fi and the polysorbital 80 that's in the vaccines, and these new bioengineering, that takes it straight up to the brain, along with the fluoride, and it calcifies the pineal gland. And you need that for making... for a lot of the hormones for puberty, they don't even know what it really does, but they know about melatonin. So then we get onto our hair. So I can see a few grey hairs in here. Your hair should stay quite dark if you're having lots and lots of minerals that are in your green leafy vegetables. And that's a reason why you should be juicing and using super greens. And this is why you see more and more and more people with grey hair. Actually, there's a saying, isn't there? When you've got a bald head, it's when your hair's gone inside and there's no brain to stop it going deep. So our eyes. So if we get onto, you know, when we talk. I'm going to go back to the brain in a little while, but I'm going to go through this quicker. Our eyes. And what was interesting in the Gulf War, well, I'm not even going to call it a war. Over 2 million non-combatants murdered, and Tony Blair's still knocking around. But what the guys said in the military, they would be pointing with their night vision glasses on, and there would be a shepherd in the yonder distance with no goggles on pointing back at them, because they could see. So what do we do now? We're looking down at our phones, and we've got all our kids in school now. They don't have a blackboard anymore, so that you're looking down, looking up, looking down, looking up. Because when you do that, you're exercising your eye muscles. By the time you're 12-ish, your eye muscles are set. Now our kids are all in school with laptops, and they're not looking up and down. So they're losing that long vision. So what I would say to everybody every single day is focus on something near, and then keep looking up, focus on something far. Near, far, and exercise those eye muscles. That's the best thing you can do. And don't wear your glasses, because the more you wear them, the more you're going to want to wear them. Obviously, if your eyesight's rubbish, don't be driving without them, because the busies will get you. So the other thing is, it's important to exercise because it increases blood flow. Now I'm going to go back to eyes and brain when I talk about sugar. So our mouth, really important, our mouth, of course it is. Inside our mouth we have our teeth. When we're first born, we don't really have teeth. And then our milk teeth come in, and that's exactly what they are. That baby shouldn't have anything other than milk. You shouldn't give that baby anything else until those premolar teeth are in. Those premolar teeth, once they're in, the mouth starts to secrete ptyalin for breaking down starch and breaking down fat, to start it in the mouth. So what do the midwives tell the ladies? They do it with the Asian ladies as well, the Indian ladies. I worked at NHS Direct in Nottingham. When baby's not sleeping, they say, oh, it's hungry. Give baby some baby rice. That's a grain, it's a starch. Give baby some porridge. They can't digest it. What does your baby do when it hasn't got those teeth? You put the spoon in, don't you? And it goes, meh. And it keeps doing it. What do? We scoop it up and shove it back in. Because the midwives have told us we should be giving the babies We should be giving them that. We shouldn't. They should be having just milk, mom's milk. It's made for a baby. I'm going to go back to that. So our teeth are 2.5 times stronger than our bones. So what happens? We get to late primary school, early teens, and our teeth start breaking, and we go and get them filled, don't we? If we're really unfortunate, somebody puts mercury in our mouths, amalgam, so every time you lick it, you get mercury to the brain. Who knows the saying, mad as a hatter? They used to stiffen the hats, the mariners, with mercury fumes, and they went mad. That's where the saying comes from, mad as a hatter. So, you shouldn't be giving your baby anything. And interestingly, come on, let's see it. Who drinks Coca-Cola? Coca-Cola is good for cleaning your toilet. Only 2 people know the ingredients of Coca-Cola, and they're not allowed to travel on the same flight. The reason they put the sugar in is to hide the taste of salt. They put masses of salt in it, and they put caffeine in it to make you thirsty and to make you pee more, so you drink more. And it's got phosphoric acid in it that degrades down your teeth. There's kids in Nottingham, and I remember where the parents were giving them a bottle with Coke in, and Greg's the baker's shot, and the standing joke was all the kids starved because they didn't get their sausage roll for breakfast. Probably get into trouble for saying that. But anyway, so then they brought in fluoride, and they told all of us that fluoride's good for our teeth. Fluoride is a byproduct of the aluminium industry. When you add fluoride into the water and then you mix it with plastic, which is like in your tea bags, it expresses 138 genes that shouldn't be expressed. You get melanoma, generally, where you don't even get the sun on the torso and the upper limbs. The highest rate of melanoma in the Northern Hemisphere was in Ireland. And the highest rate in the Southern Hemisphere was in New Zealand. And what did the 2 things have in common? They both had fluoride in the water, and they were both massive tea drinkers. Natural fluoride will concentrate in the tea leaves, naturally. So then you're mixing it with the plastic in the bag and the fluoride water, and boom. It drops the baby's IQ. It causes fluorosis of the skeleton. It is the worst thing. It affects the brain. It causes cancer. It causes all problems with the eyesight, everything. But what's really horrific is, in places with high concentrations of fluoride, you get a higher incidence of Down syndrome children. Now that's very significant now, because that's classed as terminal, and they're disabled. And I can tell you 2 Down syndrome young women that were murdered using benzodiazepines and opioids in 2020. And they tell you that fat's fattening, don't they? Got to go low fat. Low fat, low fat. And everybody kept eating low fat, but everyone's got fatter, and diabetes has exploded, and cancer and everything else, because they're lying. They just want you on the drugs. It's not called Food and Drug Administration by mistake. So then you eat that food, it goes down your food pipe, and in order for that food pipe to close the muscle, the cardiac sphincter, your stomach's got to be acidic enough, 1.5 to 3.5, and it's got to relax to close over that hole. So the food goes in, and now the fat and the starch switches off, and your stomach acid starts to digest your protein. And people get reflux, don't they? Is anyone in here on omeprazole? They go, I've got reflux. The doctor goes, you've got too much acid. I'll give you a drug to take that acid away. Now you're in big trouble. Because now your stomach isn't in acid enough to do what? To digest those foods, to extract the nutrients. So now you've got food in your stomach that's not really digested enough, so it goes through the duodenum, and your liver's, got your bile and your gallbladder, and it enters into your intestine, that's where the nutrients get extracted to go into your blood. The life is in the blood. I don't know what it is, but in Christian faith, the life is in the blood. Then it goes into your ascending colon, and you've got your appendix. What do they tell us about the appendix? Oh, it's a useless bit of skin. It's not. It secretes antibacterial and lubricant. Because when that food comes out your stomach, if you've not got enough stomach acid and it's full of bacteria, it's going to make you ill. It goes into your colon, then your colon has to absorb the water, keep absorbing the water, and then, hey presto, it comes out the other end as a log. And if you're lucky, And that's it, you know, we all get a bit like, oh, I can't talk about that. And then we get people having piles. We don't want to talk about those nasty little things, do we? Women know about piles, and the doctor goes, oh yeah, it's because you're straining. Nobody actually tells you, no, it's your liver. It's the reason you've got the piles is your liver. And actually, if you raise the feet up, I mean, us Brits, we sit on a toilet in the bathroom, the throne. We take our phones in with us. I mean, our hygienic, we sit on the phone texting, talking to our mates, don't we, while we're sitting in the throne. And then we laugh at those in the Middle East and the Far East with the holes in the floor. We laugh at them, don't we? That's because most of us can't even get down there anymore, because our knees have had it. But actually, that's the position you should be for all those muscles to relax, so that log just slides out on its own. So if you're suffering from piles, you should raise your feet up. If you're going to sit on the toilet, raise your feet. Get them up. Get the phone out there. So anyway, we've got all these patients now on antacids. They can't extract their nutrients. So what happens? They get osteoporosis, don't they? Because they can't extract the calcium from their foods, which binds to the vitamin D3. We're told don't go out in the midday sun. When your shadow is short, the sun shines on your skin and it converts the cholesterol into vitamin D3. It's actually a hormone. Every cell in your body has a vitamin D3 receptor. You need the electrical field of the sun to make the fluid in your cell in the mitochondria, which is nutrition for your immune cells, and that's the life force in your cell. In a minute. 5 minutes, and you can all go to the loo. I'll get through this quick. So what you have to do is you're now taking away the acid. They can't extract the nutrients. The calcium won't bind to the D3. So now they've got osteoporosis, brittle bones. They tell you it's normal because you're old. No, it's not. It's not normal. And they tell you to slap sunscreen on and stay out of the sun, don't they? And for all of you gentlemen that your heritage isn't from, your heritage is near the equator, it's very important that you get out in the sunshine and get as much of your clothing off as possible and soak it up. No one cares. Everybody only looks for 2 minutes. So I'll just finish on a couple of other bits. So the ovaries. If we don't have enough iodine in our ovaries, they're not going to function that delicate balance of an egg every month. So we're exposed to all these synthetic hormones where pesticides, herbicides, fungicides are synthetic estrogens. Then everything with an aroma, your aftershave, your deodorant, your wash fluid, your laundry softener, all of these things that you can smell, plug-in air fresheners, all of these things are carcinogenic, but they also push up your estrogen level for men as well, and that in turn hijacks the binding agent that your thyroid needs. So now your thyroid can't function properly. I've never seen a thyroid walk into the doctors on its own. I've never seen a set of teeth go into the dentist on their own. I've never seen a liver pitch up and say, I'm a bit congested. They're generally attached to the rest of your body. So why we have an ologist for this and an ologist for that, I don't know, because everything's connected, and when one thing goes down, everything goes down. So moving on to your testes, fellas. Your testes, zinc is stored in the testes and the prostate, and there's 2.7 billion people in the world that are zinc deficient. The glyphosate chelates the zinc so the plants can't take it up. And zinc stops your good testosterone being converted into the bad one that causes prostate cancer. It inhibits that enzyme. So every man in here should be eating pumpkin seeds, zinc-rich foods, and supplementing with zinc. For anybody in here that's doing bodybuilding and they're taking anabolic steroids, you're going to stop your body from being able to secrete its own testosterone, and you're going to get problems with your heart, your kidneys, your brain, your moods, everything. And you really need to think about that if you're doing all of that, to pump your body up thinking you look good right now down the gym with your tats. And then later you've got, micro testicles like marbles, and you can't get an erection, and your body's no longer secreting. I see you laughing. Are you using those, sir? So you're no longer secreting your own testosterone. So my advice to anyone who's doing that is you don't need to. You go through the history museums in London and you see all the old sculptures of these sportsmen. They didn't have any of that then. They had a clean diet and they had rippling muscles. And I can assure you, as a young man, you don't want to have erectile dysfunction and microtestes. And let me tell you, as a woman, we don't want it either. Just saying. So your kidneys, if you're, bombarding your body with loads of animal protein, which is not natural, we would kill something and probably eat it for a few days, and the rest of the time we would eat the herbs, the lentils, the pulses, the grains. We wouldn't have a plate with half a cow on it. And yet people do now, and then they have their potatoes, their chips, their eggs. Your body has to break the in order to use protein, it has to break it down so it can, like a foreign word, so that it can metabolize it. The amine portion can't be broken down to be used as energy or stored as fat, so it has to be excreted by the kidneys as urea and creatinine. So your kidneys have to work really hard, then your heart has to work hard. So if you're eating loads of animal protein and loads of eggs, and if you're eating that horrible whey protein, I see loads of autoimmune diseases with people that have these whey protein powders. If you're doing that, then your kidneys are working harder, your heart harder, you're hanging on to sodium now and letting go of potassium. Now your cells become waterlogged, so sugar in the presence of oxygen is not going to happen. So you're going to get tired. The cell won't be relying on oxygen, so now what happens? The DNA gets damaged. If your immunity is not working well because you're deficient in vitamins, minerals and enzymes, you're not going to be able to mend that DNA or cause that cell to die. So that cell's going to divide. It's now a mutation. It's going to keep on dividing. What have you got? A palpable, detectable tumour. Now do you see? Do you see how this all happens? I love the human body. Wheat, we've talked about hybridized wheat. In 1969, an agronomist came along and said, I've got a great idea to feed the world. We're going to have wheat that grows this big with a big yield, and it's not going to fall over because it's not as tall, so the mice won't get it and the rats, and we're going to feed everybody. That hybridized wheat is going to give you holes in your gut, and it's going to give you the highest blood sugar. It's the worst thing you can eat. So everything you buy in that supermarket is hybridized wheat, unless you're eating spelt or kamut and it's organic. I mean, it's just really high sugar.
So this is the basic form of sugar. So it's a very simple way to make it. So the way they make it is they take sugarcane, juice it, and heat up the juice. And the only thing they add in it is baking soda. And that's all they need for it to form solid lumps like this. But white sugar itself, we don't even know the full ingredients. We don't even know, it's like ingredient X. Compared to this and that, there is no comparison. And before white sugar was introduced in South Asia, majority people used this and there was no diabetes. And it was used as mass, much more than now. But now we have white sugar, and white sugar has brought diabetes.
And one molecule of sugar uses up 56 molecules of magnesium, and you need whenever you get muscle spasms anywhere, that's angina, cramping, any spasming, it's lack of magnesium.
And so basically what it is this is coming directly from the farm. This is something you have to understand.
The chef? Oh yeah. Oh my God. I didn't know you were a chef as well.
I'll make the tea. Try the tea.
I love your hat.
I'm a political chef.
Happy
Oh yes.
birthday.
I'm
Happy
trying to be a modern
birthday.
man that's half female,
He's trying to be half
Good
female.
to see you.
Happy birthday. How old? 76. We're just talking about sugar.
No,
Piers,
I don't do it.
you don't eat any sugar, do you? And that's why you get to 76.
Apart from, there's some natural sugar in milk. There's 3% sugar in most things actually.
Yeah, but you're not eating the white bastardized sugar. Everything we need is already here. So what we have to do is take away every offending thing, and our bodies will naturally heal ourselves. The gentleman who says he's type 2 diabetic, if he took all of the wheat and out of his diet, didn't have any pasta, any bread, just cut the rice right back for now, and have only maybe once a week in a small amount, and just ate greens and some nice alkaline meat, some chicken, some turkey, and did that 3 meals, and then maybe 2, got it down, that type 2 diabetes would leave, and the body begins to heal. All your blood vessels that are furred up with your protein and your sugar and your sticky blood, If you take all that away and you go back to a natural diet, your body will heal it. And all the herbs are there as well. You know, there's so many herbs out there that are fantastic. And what the pharmaceutical company does is it takes a natural compound, isolates what is active in it, makes a synthetic version, and then puts a patent on it, which has got loads of side effects, and then they give it to you as a drug. And a classic example of that was in the Second World War, the Japanese troops, their meals were really flavoursome when they were taken prisoner. And what they had sprinkled on their food was sea kombu or sea tangle. And so what they did was they took that and they isolated the active compound in it. One of the scientists was called Suzuki, and it was glutamate. So they made a synthetic version called monosodium glutamate, which killed all the spider monkeys in the trials, blinded all the mice, but they put it in everything, even in baby food. And as long as it's not got 70% or a little bit more in the food, they don't even have to tell you. So all your Schwartz spices, they're full of it. And what people say is, oh, I've got a bit of a full head, a bit of a foggy brain. It's a bit like a hangover and you're very thirsty. So Marmite is full of it. These Doritos that, you eat one, you can hang glide around the room. Before you know it, you've finished a whole family bag. Because you can't stop. The brain is very, very receptive to it. So what you have to do, it's very, very simple, is if you go into any shop, actually I drove down here, and it's wonderful because there's loads of fruits and vegetables outside in the shops. And if you can't afford to buy organic, there are the clean 15 and the dirty dozen. So if you stick to, your thick-skinned foods, oranges, lemons, bananas, well, bananas are herb, but, and if not, wash everything in bicarb. It's not going to be as nutrient dense, but you can get away with that. But your foods like your grapes and your berries, you shouldn't be eating those if they're not organic. They're full of pesticides. And all your beans, pulses and lentils, you should be soaking them for 12 hours, then tip the water out, sprout them for another 12 hours, then cook them. Eat a little bit of sauerkraut to mitigate the glyphosate. But if you go into your supermarket, the first 2 aisles are basically the only 2 aisles, well, depending on which side you go in. Waitrose put all their chocolate out on the street bit, and then the car park end is where you'll get your fruit and veg. So if you go in those first 2 aisles, if it looks like you've pulled it out of the ground, off a bush or out of a tree, or you've just slaughtered it, you can eat it. But you tell me where a box of cornflakes grows. or tell me where, a packet of waffles grows. It doesn't, does it? And they're all the foods that are making you sick, that are going to guarantee that you end up in the British healthcare system, in the hospitals or the scare homes. And you're going to end up on what is now, it was NG 163, then it was NG 191. You're going to be given that same protocol, which is algorithmic medicine. They have no intention of letting you collect your pension at all. They have every intention of making sure that you die very quickly once you've worked and paid into the system. But you don't need to. By making all the changes now, just simple changes. I don't mean everybody going in tomorrow morning under the sink going, get that out, it's all poison, throwing everything away, and going through the food cupboards like the food police. But you can make small changes. Instead of buying that bread, don't buy it. Buy some spelt flour, make some bread. I make all my own bread. I only eat it if I have a visitor once a month because it makes me fat.